MrAnimal Farm presents.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about frizzle chickens. We're going to cover what are frizzle chickens, common frizzle chicken breeds, how you get a frizzle chicken care, and a frizzle chicken breeding basics. So first, what is a frizzle chicken? A frizzle chicken isn't actually a specific breed of chicken, but rather it's a description of the type of feathers that your chicken has. So you're probably used to chickens that have smooth, normal chicken feathers. Frizzle chickens have feathers that are actually curled at the end. You can actually have your typical chicken breeds that are frizzled. You can also have a silky chicken, which, as you may know, has a slightly different type of feather, and they can be frizzled as well. And so you're basically just describing their feathers when you call a chicken a frizzled chicken. So what is it that gives them that frizzling? It's basically an incomplete dominant gene that they carry. This means that in order to show that curly feather or show that frizzling, they only have to have one copy of the gene. And we're going to talk in a couple minutes when we get to breeding about what happens if you get two copies of the gene. But first, let's talk about the different breeds that can be frizzled. Some common breeds that are frizzled are, as I mentioned, silkies, also Cochins, and Polish. However, because it is just a gene and not an actual breed, you can breed frizzling in to any chicken breed that you want. Now, as far as care for frizzled chickens goes, there are some things that you need to keep in mind. They don't have the typical feathers that most of your chickens are going to have, and this does present a couple of potential issues. First, frizzled chickens cannot fly. Now, your typical chicken in your flock is probably not flying around like the crows do, right? But they can flap their wings and fly up on top of your roosts and get away from predators and that sort of thing. Frizzled chickens can't fly at all because of the way their feathers are. So you need to make sure that their roosting bars are set a little lower, and you also need to make sure that they have places they can duck into or hide in case there are any predator issues, because they're not going to be able to fly away from them. The second issue or care that you need to think about when you have frizzled chickens is that since they don't have normal chicken feathers, which are very insulating, they have more trouble staying warm, especially in the winter. So you're going to need to make sure that you provide a coop where you don't have any type of draft or breeze coming in. Now, normal chickens, think about when a chicken gets broody, right? They can puff up and their feathers really kind of insulate and they create all this heat and warmth. These frizzled chickens don't have that type of feather, and so they cannot get as hot as a normal chicken does. All right, so now that we've covered breeds and care and we know what frizzling is, let's talk a little bit about breeding frizzled chickens. If you want to get really nerdy with your breeding, you can check out the link below to our blog post about frizzled chickens, and we actually have all the breeding percentages laid out in that post. But I'm going to talk a little bit about it here to give you some basics. So since it's an incomplete dominant gene, you just need one copy of the frizzling gene in order for your chickens to show that frizzling. So if you have one chicken that shows that it's frizzled, so it's a frizzled chicken, and then you have one chicken that is normal feathered, let's use silkies for example, because that's what we breed here at MrAnimal Farm. If you have a frizzled silky and then you have a regular silky feather, you breed those two together, you're going to get 50% of your chicks will be frizzled and 50% will be normal silky feathered chickens. Now, what happens if you breed a frizzled chicken with a frizzled chicken? You get 100% frizzles, right? The answer to that is actually no. So you will get a percentage that are going to be frizzled, and that's great. The problem with breeding two frizzled together is you can end up with two of the frizzling genes in one chicken, which actually creates what is called a frazzled chicken. And it's called a frazzled chicken because quite frankly, they look a little disheveled. They have basically extreme frizzling to the point where they sometimes have a significant loss of feathers, and it's actually a really bad health issue for them. And they typically don't live very long. So whenever you're breeding frizzle chickens, you want to make sure that you're putting, you know, a frizzled rooster over regular feathered hens, or vice versa, a regular feathered rooster over frizzled hens, so that you never have the frizzle to frizzle breeding. If you want to learn a little more about silkies, like I've mentioned in this video, you can check out the next video coming up next.